All right, one of my latest finds is this LG compressor, and it was a little higher than I probably would have paid for it normally, but I saw a fellow collector who I cannot remember at the moment. He was saying, that this is probably one of the best, like, bagless canisters he's ever used. So it's like, well, why don't I get it and check it out? And for those who are unfamiliar with them, the reason they call them as a compressor is because this little paddle in here moves back and forth and kind of smushes things into the, or rather, it compresses the dirt inside the chamber. And there's a separate little motor down here that runs this plastic gear to move that. So that's why it's a compressor. And the cyclone chamber on here is simple, but there we go. So it's two single-stage cyclones, and I guess, the idea here is when you have air coming in from both ends, it moves towards the center and then ejects things into the dirt cup. I kind of like this, just because, it's so easy to remove the cyclone assembly, and I mean, you can get in here and clean everything out fairly easily. And we just have a kind of a sponge and foam filter here at the back, which I washed that out. There's a screen below that I tried cleaning out. I mean, did what I could with it, but I don't know what was up with this machine, but I opened up the motor compartment to clean it, and it was looking really good in there, and it's like, okay. So it's like I just put it back together and said it's fine. Makes me wonder what the story behind this thing is, because I mean, that's really unusual. And this is a powerhead model, and we also have well, it swivels here, but it doesn't swivel at the hose end, which is kind of annoying. But I mean, one swivel is better than no swivels. And then on the handle here, we have different settings. There we go. So we'll take electrical measurements. On the minimum setting, brush roll off, and then we'll turn it on to max, and then we'll switch the power head on and see where we're sitting. So let's turn it on minimum. I'm not really sure if this thing has multiple speeds or not. No, I think it's just two, min and max. So, wow. Let's turn it on to max. Then switch the power head on. And I'll show you guys what the compressor thing looks like. Alright, so I don't know how great of a connection we have here, and it's kind of an awkward space to try to get into. So we're just going to go ahead and do this as is. I won't be taking measurements at the canister, because when you have hose switches like this, you can't run the machine without the hose. So let's just turn this thing on max and see how it does. That's pretty typical of a bagless canister. And I know there's a suction relief valve in the canister, so still, not bad. I have to wonder how much stronger it would be without it. I guess somewhere in the 80s, maybe 90. Well, I couldn't find my typical 35 to 32 millimeter adapter. I was kind of expecting this to be a standard 1.25 inch. I never looked at it too closely. I just knew it was a male connection at this end, which is strange, you know. I don't get why they wouldn't have put a male end on here too, but you know, LGs tend to be a little bit weird. My Kenmore Magic Blue, if whoever's watching this has seen the video on there, I mean, it has kind of a similar thing, but it's like, whatever. Let's switch it on to max. But we seem to be holding steady. So let's see where we sit with suction. I don't think that's changed. Or if it has, not by much. Alright, max power is on, brush rolls off. Let's get a measurement. You know, considering how much power the canister had, that's pretty good. It's clearly a pretty well sealed piece. And I know we're going to experience nose diving on this because I always try that before doing the airflow test on it now, so I'm just going to go like that to keep it in place. And yeah, I mean, you know, it's nearing 40 inches of sealed suction at the end of the nozzle. That's pretty good. Pretty good. So now let's turn the power nozzle on and repeat. Very quiet nozzle. It's got to be a groove belt, because I don't think it's a stretch. I'm guessing the sealed suction test must have sealed the box a little bit better. So I'm going to... And that's exactly how I keep screwing up my sealing strips. You know, we can see where the brush roll ate in. Okay. So maybe, I don't know. Something's up though. Because I mean, I tried doing it with the nozzle off and then the nozzle on, and it scored higher with the nozzle on. I don't know what's going on with that. And we once again see the compressor at work. You know, I don't have too many conventional bagless canisters to compare this to, but I can certainly say that I think this did a lot better than my Dyson canister. I mean, you know, it clearly makes... even though it's not super powerful at the hose, it makes great use of the power it does have by having a well-sealed nozzle. And you know, you could actually see agitation with this machine because of that. And I think, you know, it helps that the nozzle opening isn't like huge, so it's concentrating the airflow it does have. The bristles are on the stiffer side. But yeah, this is, at least for a bagless, this is a pretty decent machine. Probably the best bagless canister I have.